The United States has finally released its classified UFO files. They've made public all the data they've collected since 1966. We can also check it out ourselves by clicking the link to the site. Today, let's take a proper look at this topic. Let's take a look right away. The US Department of Defense has posted 161 files related to unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAPs, along with numerous photos on its official website. President Trump previously said he'd release UFO materials, and now everything has been made public. These files are materials collected by the US Department of Defense, NASA, the FBI, and others since 1966. These documents don't confirm UFOs exist, they just show cases where the US government couldn't reach a clear conclusion. The US Department of Defense said these are unresolved cases where the government couldn't determine the nature of the phenomena. The US also plans to release more files every few weeks. The US Department of Defense said they welcome the private sector to analyze and interpret what they could not using their own expertise and information. First, let's see what materials are available. There were many interesting items. This is Apollo 12 from 1969, a photo taken on the moon. This archival photo shows the lunar surface as seen from the Apollo 12 landing site. A specific area above the horizon, slightly to the right of the vertical axis in the photo, is highlighted where an unidentified phenomenon can be seen. This is also a photo from Apollo 12 in 1969. This is an archival photo of the lunar surface as seen from the Apollo 12 landing site. Two areas of interest above the horizon, slightly to the right of the vertical axis in the photo, are highlighted, and unidentified phenomena are observed in these areas. People initially thought it was lens flare or lighting, but that wasn't true. A similar event happened 3 years later. This is a photo taken during the Apollo 17 mission in December 1972. In this photo, you can see 3 dots arranged in a triangular shape in the lower right quadrant of the lunar sky, and when you zoom in on the image, these dots become clearly visible. This photo was previously released and discussed among experts, but there was no consensus about the identity of this strange phenomenon. According to a new preliminary analysis by the US government, the features in this image are likely the result of physical objects within the scene. Interestingly, there were also related communication records during the Apollo 11 mission. Let me read them to you as they are. Alright, if you look outside the AOT in the dark quadrant, you can see these lights. Particles of light, sparkling lights, they just seem to be coming from somewhere. In this case, I'm looking at quadrant 1, which is the left side. It seems to be coming from behind me on the left, and they're just drifting off into space. At first, I thought they might be coming off my water boiler. One of them looks like it's escaping from the moon. It quickly moves away from here, heading straight toward the stars. That's what was said. Also, hey Heyo Pop, I'm looking at what you just told me. This isn't a nearby particle. I'm viewing another particle for 3D comparison. It's a bright object, and its flashing confirms it's rotating. As I said, it's quite distant. There are some nearby particles, but this is definitely not one of them. It's clearly rotating in a very rhythmic way because the flashes come back at almost regular intervals. Looking back at Earth, it's at about the 11 o'clock position, 10 to 12 Earth diameters above. I'm not sure if this helps, but something is definitely there. He also reportedly said that, in this video, the object with a strange shape in the sky was filmed by the United States Central Command. Filmed in 2013, the United States Central Command released a 1-minute 46-second video recorded by an infrared sensor mounted on a US military platform that year. The United States Central Command was also unable to identify what this was, so they submitted a report on unidentified anomalous phenomena to the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. It showed an object with a shape close to an octagonal star floating around. This video was filmed in the Middle East in 2022. US Central Command submitted a report on unidentified anomalous phenomena to the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, including a 5-second video recorded by an infrared sensor mounted on a US military platform in 2022. The mission report says the object, believed to be a missile, was filmed crossing the field of view, but it was never confirmed as a missile. The report also states that there were 4 other objects that did not appear in the video. This is footage taken in Japan in 2023. The United States Indo-Pacific Command submitted a report to the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, classifying a 1-minute and 59-second video filmed by an infrared sensor mounted on a US military platform in 2023 as an unidentified anomalous phenomenon. It showed 3 unidentified objects flying in the sky, and not all of the content was disclosed. 5 images were also redacted. The 1.4 alpha photo, for example, is related to military planning. The US Department of Defense said the images were censored for national security due to their link to weapon systems and operations. The US Department of Defense said the UAP looked like a balloon, was at 31,000 feet and drifting with the wind. They tracked the target precisely with radar and even identified it visually. Testimonies from UFO witnesses and records of unidentified objects from military reconnaissance missions around the world were also released. FBI interview records, NASA communication transcripts, and State Department cables were also included. The US Department of Defense reiterated that the released materials do not officially prove extraterrestrial life or alien technology. The US government states the released files are all unresolved cases, strange phenomena in the sky, space, or sea whose true nature couldn't be identified. The US government said it couldn't reach a definitive conclusion due to insufficient data, poor video quality, and limits in analyzing sensor errors. Some videos show very unrealistic movements, but the government thinks this could be caused by the filming angle or infrared equipment, which may alter the perceived speed. However, many people are raising questions about this. Why are there so many cases the United States, despite its top military and intelligence capabilities, has analyzed for decades but still can't explain? Publicly released materials even include reports from US military pilots, radar operators, and intelligence committee members. The US Department of War clarified that this doesn't mean the phenomena didn't occur. The unusual events did happen, but their nature remains undetermined. That's where the problem begins. With the US government set to release more materials every few weeks, public curiosity is increasing. If these objects are aircraft from America's adversaries like China or Russia, the situation becomes very serious. That's because some of the cases that have been made public so far show movements that go beyond what existing aviation technology should be able to do. There are even cases where these objects change direction instantly, move at extremely high speeds, and show almost no signs of engine exhaust. For the United States, if this technology exists, they must consider that their air defense, radar, and missile defense systems could become useless. Just as the United States raced to secure stealth technology and precision weapons before the Soviet Union in the Cold War, some say the UAP issue may also relate to future military dominance. This is exactly why US intelligence agencies have started to view this phenomenon not as an extraterrestrial issue, but as a national security issue. If these objects are actually linked to extraterrestrials, the story changes entirely. The history, science, religion, and philosophy of civilization could be upended if the idea that humans are the only intelligent beings collapses. In particular, some people even claim that extraterrestrial civilizations have been continuously observing humanity. Of course, there is still no evidence to prove this. Since the US government hasn't given a clear explanation, people's imaginations are growing. There's also another possibility. A new, undiscovered natural phenomenon may exist. In the past, humans also couldn't explain things like lightning, auroras, or deep-sea creatures for a long time. This UAP might be a new physical phenomenon that future scientific advances will uncover. The key is that the US government released decades of data and admitted there's still much we don't know. That admission is what's truly shocking the world. What's even more interesting is that the attitude of the US government has completely changed from before. In the past, if you brought up UFOs, you were immediately treated as a conspiracy theorist. But now, the situation is different. Congress is holding hearings on the issue, with active fighter pilots and intelligence officials testifying about phenomena they've witnessed. Some pilots reported the objects abruptly stopping mid-air or making maneuvers at speeds and forces beyond human tolerance. The problem is that in some of these cases, the sightings were confirmed simultaneously by radar and infrared equipment as well as by direct visual observation. Above all, what's truly frightening is that it may be the materials that still haven't been released, rather than the ones already made public. Since the US government has also announced that it will continue to release more information in the future, global interest is growing even more. However, some people are saying that since President Trump's approval ratings have been continuously dropping, these materials were released to completely shift the public's attention to UFOs. But what's certain is that these materials are not fake, so what exactly are these UFOs?